Hey, everybody, welcome to TV Chef Fantasy League, the podcast that does not know what to call an employee of a rock quarry. I'm your host, Commissioner Mike Cablon. With me in the studio today is my co host, Sierra Cato, and joining us from Austin is our other co host, Iffy Wadiway. Sierra, we're in the Maximum Fun studio for the first time. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, shout out to Val for making this just
Beautiful.
a possibility.
Comfortable.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I got water in a branded
Oh.
Maximum Fun mug. I don't know if these are for sale, but if they are, buy one. If they're not for sale, I'm so sorry. It's exclusive and the water tastes better because of it.
Yeah, one day we'll make so much money off of branded cups.
Iffy, what's going on in Austin? Give us the lowdown from boots on the ground.
I'm one. I waited till record till I held my punch, but yes, I'm out here for a weekend of shows. Friday and Saturday, I'm here performing at Fallout Theater. But Saturday, I am meeting up with Amanda from Top Chef.
Whoa!
Kicking it.
Whoa, yeah, Amanda!
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my gosh. Okay, you're gonna have to do an Instagram takeover and show us all the spots that she shows you.
Yeah. It'll be Demanda is over. It's Ifanda now.
Ifanda. Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. Okay,
That's
do you know
legendary.
where she okay, two questions. One, do you know where she's taking you? And two, have you been to any spots already that are like, oh, this is the spot?
I just landed and ran to record, so I haven't been any spots.
Okay.
I know for a fact that we're going to check out her restaurant and
Yeah.
we're going to check out this LARP bar that she was been telling me
nerd
about.
shit. Okay, cool.
Some nerd shit. Yeah. Well, of course. I don't know. I don't know what you expected.
Yeah.
We bonded on the nerd shit. It's going to keep going into nerd shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm pretty interested what happens when you two meet. Like, is the world gonna have like a shock wave?
Right, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
If the big earthquake hits LA,
I
we'll
think
know
it will.
why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you been to Austin before?
Oh man, I've come quite a few times. I would come out for a festival called Out of Bounds, and I did a lot of stuff for this company called Rooster Teeth. So like, I'm pretty comfortable in Austin. I think my biggest qualm is one of my friends who I used to come and see is in Dallas now, and
It's a different world.
Otherwise, yeah, that's a different world. I tried to see all the ways we might be able to see each other, but it's a 3 hour drive. And yeah,
also
so
Dallas is not. Look, I know we have 2 episodes to cover. I don't care. I'm going to derail this whole thing. Dallas is the only city in America where I've ever truly been scared to drive. Like last year, or maybe 2 years ago now, I did a cross country road trip and I drove in a lot of cities in America, and Dallas was the only one where I was genuinely like, there are too many like splits on this freeway tangle. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh.
There's like 20 freeways going, obviously like north and south, east and west, both directions. And then there's like a series of 20 ramps you have to hit to get to the right place you want to go to. It's terrifying. There's like 20 lane highways. It's insane.
Dallas, fix your shit.
All right, I was really hoping for a bigger reaction with that.
I see what you mean. I know they've got, everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything is truly
big freeways.
Yeah, exactly. To accommodate the big trucks. Okay, look, like I said, we have 2 episodes to cover. I do want to quickly shout out April, who tagged us in her league's winners dinner, which we also still haven't done. By the way, we have not done our winners dinner for Top Chef, but April and her friends did their dinner for the winner of their Top Chef Fantasy League, and it looked like so much fun. So thank you to April and her friends for listening and playing with us. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's dive in. MasterChef did another 2 episodes this week. We're going to try and cover both. First one was the beer episode. We're down to our top 14, and we start off immediately with egregious Blue Moon placement, which I'm not against. I like Blue Moon.
Right. Wheat, whatever they call it, I forget.
Wheat.
The wheat beer?
Do you guys think Gordon Ramsay has ever actually had a Blue Moon? I'm going to guess hard no. I'm going to guess even on the set, they're like, please try this. And he went, I'm going to pass.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I feel like Blue Moon is Em and I were talking about it because I remember Blue Moon being like my first beer that got me into beers because it's
same.
So light, you get the citrus and you're in the mode, and then you're like, okay, I'm ready for the real deal.
Yes.
And I feel like Londoners and people from Europe, like their beer culture is way more bougie. So like they're like, oh no, I'm not into this at all.
Right. Yeah. They come out the womb like drinking IPAs, I feel.
Yeah.
If you're born on anywhere on that island, you have a Guinness in your hand at any point in time.
Fair. But yes, I also think that, yeah, it's kind of one of the more palatable, and it has a little orange slice, I feel like that was the marketing.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Exactly. And now they're encroaching on Golden Road's territory with their mango beer.
Oh, yes.
As we saw multiple times throughout this episode.
Mango wheat.
Yeah. But Mango Road is the superior beer. Look, we're Angelinos, we're biased, but Golden Road mango card. Anyway, okay. We introduce Grant Gillen, the winner of last season. And Jeet is the one who gets the edit of, she doesn't explicitly say, I'm such a big fan, but she does say, like, we're very similar. We're from the Midwest, both millennials. I'm really happy to see him. So I'm going to say she gets the half point for saying I'm such a big fan of a past season winner, which is on our score sheet. Which, as a reminder, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Jeet, known for being a fan, was a fan even in the like audition episodes. So this was a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Grant does seem like an expert on the topic. As they pointed out, he used beer twice in his winning finale meal at the end of last season. So he knows how to cook with beer. In this episode, Michael has the immunity. He also has an advantage, which is to choose one cook from any generation except for his own, who also gets immunity. 2/3 of the way through the cook, he pulls him out of the competition. I went back and forth on this when they introduced it. He was like, I don't know if I should pick like a weak cook so I can eliminate them later, or a strong cook to, like, hamper a strong team. What would you guys do? What would your strategy be?
Ooh, I think, oh man, I was confidently going to say a stronger cook to garner favor, but then I realized this is like a different kind of competition reality show where there may not even be an opportunity to be, saved back. So you might have to just lean on saving the weaker cook to hopefully dominate later.
I also feel like at this point in the competition, though, the weak cooks are going to get themselves eliminated. Like, you don't need to save them for the end so that you can beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is like, it almost is so, and there's so many wild cards in MasterChef that it's almost like you kind of don't want to give another chance to somebody who might be better at something else later. Like, it's been really like all over the place. There are clearer, weaker cooks, but it's almost like, because it's so variable, I almost think like, let's just try to, eliminate the winner so that they don't get that for their whole team if you really want to target somebody. But very, very tough one.
That is the strategy that Michael ended up taking, because he chose Adam because he thought he was doing really well down there.
Yeah, and I did feel bad because I was like, what if he was really, I would feel bad being Adam, being like, oh, finally I have a great winning dish, and then he gets pulled up and can't even finish his bread.
Yeah. Which, oh man, I was so excited to see beer bread.
I would have wanted, to see if it was really going to turn out, because everybody was questioning the time limit. They're like, bread in 25 minutes?
Yeah, it's like, it's ambitious, and also I'm surprised more people didn't try it, because like beer batter and beer bread were the first two places that my mind went. Right. You know what I mean? And it was a bummer to not see. Val in her notes also put that she wanted to see the beer bread as well. So me and Val are both disappointed.
It's still in the oven to this day.
Yeah. No one knows the status of the beer bread. Let's see what else. Okay. Michael nerded out about talking to Gordon Ramsay just to himself
that was
privately. Cute. That was so endearing.
I mean, I totally would too. I think he really, the meme of Michael was all of us.
Is that a meme?
In that moment.
Oh.
Well, whatever. It's like a stupid clickbaity headline.
Okay, yeah.
So-and-so is all of us. It's dated. I'm sorry. I shouldn't bring it up in the 2024.
Yeah, get cool like us.
Yeah, Jesus. But yes, he definitely was relatable in that moment.
Yes, very much so. And then the other big thing I want to bring up right up top is that both Becca and Fatima have never had beer before, which, of course, it didn't even occur to me until they said it. And I was like, oh no. They're both going to be severely limited in this competition.
Yeah, I forgot about Becca and that she also hadn't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Both for religious reasons, different religions. So I also bring this up because there's a question here, and my vote is yes. The question is, does saying I don't drink count the same as either I'm allergic to or I never cook with this? To me, either way, the answer is yes. So I think they both get a half point.
Yeah, I was thinking
I
never cook with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same as saying I can't be, for whatever reason, allergy or religion. And in any case, I don't have experience with this. So to me, that's a half point for both of them. Here's the other thing. Becca went to Mert for tasting. Like at first, Adam was like, "I'll taste your food for you," and then he went up to the balcony, and then Mert ended up tasting for it. Which, first of all, I would not trust Mert. I don't trust his palate. If he's like, "This is good," I'm like, "Great," so it's bad.
Yeah, opposite of Mert.
Yeah. But then I was like, did Fatima do that? I don't know if they didn't show it in the edit, but I didn't see Fatima going to anyone else for tasting. She was just like, I don't know what this tastes like. Oh well.
Yeah, I don't think I saw, like, the only thing was Becca, I think, shoving the
Yeah.
Mert, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd assume maybe, but maybe she
You
didn't have
would
time.
well, everyone had the same amount of time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can. How long does it take to turn to someone next to you and be like, "Here, taste this for me"? Also, and this is just like a nuts and bolts question that maybe some of our viewers can answer. Are you allowed to taste it after the alcohol burns off?
Oh gosh.
Like
Yeah,
from
I
a
don't.
religious standpoint, if you're keeping that religious rule,
Right.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it depends on the person or
Yeah,
the
because
religion.
it's
I
like
don't know.
to serve it as food, you should be cooking out the alcohol. So once the alcohol is gone,
Yeah.
what's the issue? You know?
Yeah, I remember I used to date someone who was Mormon, and they have a strict no alcohol
Yeah.
thing, and they kind of leaned on like the alcohol cooks out, like it was they were able to do that, but I know it was kind of person to person too.
Okay. Okay. So maybe just Fatima and Becca were both the people who were like, personally, it's not touching my lips.
Sure.
Which fine, no judgment. That's okay. But smart on Becca to get someone else to taste her food for her. All right. We got a lot to cover, so let's just go straight to the closer looks. From Gen Z, it was Mert with his beer battered fish tacos. I would argue they were beer battered fish lettuce wraps. But I as much as I want to hate on them, I was like, they do look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big surprise. Mert hasn't, he was even surprised.
It was his first time at the top, and he
Yeah.
looked so happy about it.
Yeah. I had some Mert empathy there.
Yeah. Yeah. Iffy, any thoughts on Mert making it up to the top? Because I mean, I feel like you've been hyping Mert this whole season.
Well, he has
and now
to.
he's finally at the
I
top.
have not been hyping Mert, so that's why I have indifference to him making the top. Like it's like, okay, finally you pulled something off, dude. But like I have no faith in my boy Mert. Like I got Mert for the drama points. And anytime he does something actually good, I'm like, great. Mert has been skating by this season, dodging the blade's edge at every turn. If I start to at any moment have hope for him, it will crush me.
Oh man. One thing I will say, we've talked about is TV. He's good for TV. But Dylan hasn't really been following MasterChef as closely as Top Chef, but he did, want to catch up, and he was like, he asked specifically, is Mert still there? So I think there's some, entertainment.
He would get fan favorite if we were to apply
Right.
Top Chef rules here.
Yeah, he knows that if Mert's there, there's going to be some shenanigans. It might be a little more entertaining than if Mert weren't. So hey,
every reality competition show has that one. And I feel like Mert isn't even a villain anymore. He's just sort of like a caricature of himself. Yeah, an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
But every competition show has one character where you're like, well, if they're still on the show, I'm going to watch it.
Right. Something weird's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Also up at the top for the millennials, we've got Kamei with their spice rubbed pork chop, corn and poblano succotash, and a beer and blackberry sauce. This is the one that sounded the best to me. I love this one.
Yeah. And this is one that I do get hyped about for my team because I do have hope in this person, and I do. I'm in their corner.
Yeah,
it's good to have one.
Yeah. I know that we keep beating the drum of like give her own show, but I do want to point out she had this bit where she literally set the stakes for the audience, which is something that every storyteller on earth aspires to do, where she was like, well, since me and Jeet are the only two millennials on the floor, like, the stakes are a little bit higher for us because one's going to be on top and one's going to be on the bottom. And I'm like, you got to admit she's good at being on TV.
Amazing. Yes. The dream, the producer's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knows how to sell that story, knows how to get like everyone hyped about it. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. Also at the top for Gen X, we've got Arthur with his pan-seared cod, beer braised rainbow kale. Okay, you just gave me one of these. What's that?
Oh, I mean, no, it was just a big surprise, right? Because they set it up for him like he was going to undercook the fish.
He's been on the
They were
bottom for the
gonna,
last two
yeah,
challenges.
he's overthinking things, and they loved his rainbow chard. They said that
Yeah.
was like really good, and he was so pleased, and I really felt for him. I was like, I get. I think the getting in your own head and then him powering through that, it was cool. It was a good story.
I do want to use this as an entree into talking about Joe for a second, because I counted on 3 separate occasions in this episode. Joe, not the other judges, just Joe was like, huh, so you're poaching seafood and beer. And I'm like, Joe, what is your problem with poaching seafood and beer? That happened on this one. Yeah. And I'm like so happy for Arthur that it paid off. But Joe was like, oh, so you're going to poach your cod and beer? I don't know. Maybe you should go for a pan fry. And then he did the pan fry and the fish started sticking. And I'm like, God damn it, Joe. You really fucked Arthur here.
Interesting.
Yeah. But Arthur pulled it off. It was really nice. But that's one case where it worked. And as we'll see in a little bit, there's another case where it didn't work. And I'm like, Joe, what is your problem with poaching and beer?
Yeah. And like, yeah, it's kind of weird because the way he says it too, it's like, well, what?
Right. Yeah.
Finish the sentence.
Yeah. He's not saying it's bad, but it's like a line read thing where he's like,
right. And you're like supposed to know what that means.
Yeah. No, but I was sweating for Arthur, and he's not even on my team. Like, I have no dog in that fight, but just for his sake, I was like, I don't listen to Joe. That guy isn't a chef. I'm not saying he doesn't know how to cook, but he's not a chef. Trust your instincts.
Yeah. That's what exactly. It's something I said from the beginning, and I'm glad we're all coming to that side.
Yeah. I don't know why I was staunchly defending Joe when you brought that up, like in the preseason.
Well, because I think you make a really good point, right? Where it's like, hey, like he's the restaurateur, and then you're right. There are moments where it really comes out, and like he showcases like a knowledge that does pay off or give like a good take. But then I think there's times like this where I'm like, oh, this is like cooking advice, and I don't think that's like your forte.
Right. Yeah. Stay in your lane, Joe.
Yeah.
This is a second point I want to bring up about Joe, is that while he was talking to Arthur, he said, here are the 2 quotes I wrote. You're a smart guy, and he wants to see more truth from Arthur. And I was like, are you saying he should cook Asian food? Because it sounds like what you're saying is you're a smart guy because you're Asian. Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't really read it, but yeah, you're probably right. We want to see some authenticity.
Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean he's a smart guy? Are you assuming he's good at math? Is that what you're saying?
It's in there.
Anyway, okay. I don't mean to beat up on Joe, but that was the line where I was like, what do you mean?
Right. Just spell it out.
Also on top for the boomers, we've got Rebecca with her snapper puttanesca, steamed clams, and a mango beer polenta. Beer and polenta, interesting. I would try it. Not against it. Never had it. Interesting. This was the second instance where Joe pushed back on poaching and beer. And I was like, Joe, what is the problem here?
Yeah.
But she pulled it off. Gordon said it was a joy to taste. Grant called it a rock star dish, and Rebecca was really happy. And she had some winning. The winner for this episode was Rebecca. Again, she won earlier this season. She's emerging as a real front runner.
Yeah, I mean, that dish looked really good. And I liked how they were like, oh, did you use the liquor from the
the clam liquor? Yeah.
And she's like, yes. And yeah, I mean, the idea of beer polenta too, that's like it pretty creative. I guess I would feel like, is it going to be too beer tasting in this very absorbent polenta?
Right.
Yeah.
Putting like a wheat liquid into a corn dish. I'm like, that's a lot of grains. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Double grains.
Who did double grains or double starch was Warren. Rebecca is single-handedly saving the entirety of the boomer team. Right. Horacio gets his ass saved time and time again by just being in the right place at the right time. And then in this case, Warren was they went to his dish and they're like, and dies in radicchio, that's bitter, and then potato and polenta, it's like starch. And I'm like, boomers, what are you doing?
He was doing a lot. Yeah, I was very happy to see that he got immunity from Rebecca. And like, I don't know, I mean, it's like they didn't really come around to, I think they were making judgments like this just on the surface is pretty complicated, a lot of elements here, a lot of doubling up. But I was like, maybe they're saying that's, and then it turns out to be the most amazing thing ever. But then basically he was just in the middle and nothing happened, and then he wasn't in the bottom. So, or he couldn't be because they were saved. So
yeah, I hope that somewhere out there like Horacio and Warren are, I don't know, cutting checks to Rebecca or something, because she is really a powerhouse for that team. On the bottom, let's talk our bottom dishes. For Gen Z, we got Fatima with her barbecue chicken, mango beer barbecue sauce, potatoes, and an undressed salad. All right, Iffy, I can hear you reacting. Give it to me.
No real reaction. I'm just kind of sad about this. I feel like Fatima has had a hard run. It's not been good.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna push back a little bit because we've given her this criticism before, and I'm gonna give it again. She said, I've never made barbecue sauce. And then she's like, I also don't drink beer. And I'm like, then pivot. Why are you doing this recipe that you are explicitly saying you don't know how to make?
Well, because here's the thing is, and this is like a genuine, like philosophical, I think, difference between like a show like Top Chef and MasterChef. I feel like when you're in Top Chef, the pivot is easier because you're good at this. You are more creative in that field. You are, stepping up to the plate in that way. And I feel like with MasterChef, you have a lot of people who are like newer, and so they don't think outside of the box in that way. They're like, I have to do the thing that I'm supposed to do. And I think that's where we see a lot of people kind of bone themselves. And then you're right, though, when people do kind of step outside of that box, they're rewarded. Like our sad boy,
Christopher.
Yes, his dish. That was
Sad
so
boy
like when
yeah.
I saw them like bring that dish, I was like, oh, I'd never expected to see a dish
right
like this.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, where it's like, yes, they need to pivot. I think they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Sure, that does require a certain amount of confidence in being able to like know another recipe on the fly, I guess, or just a lot of experience. But yeah, I felt really like I kind of forgot that Becca also hadn't had beer before. I kind of felt conflicted about her being on the bottom because it's like, well, this was like literally a challenge that she would have a disadvantage automatically. So I was kind of, but then I guess the fact that the chicken was also dry or whatever, that
her
did make it
chicken was overcooked, the salad was undressed, and the chicken was also not seasoned. So
right,
there are critical issues, and that's the one thing I will kind of be a little more pushbacky on is once you step into the culinary world, we like in Top Chef, we saw people who didn't drink making stuff and still kind of pulling it off. I think you have to have that knowledge, but I feel like two minds about this. The mind that I was talking about before, where it's like the main difference in this, where these are home cooks who do what they do well sometimes. Because some of these social media videos that I went to go look at, I'm like, I don't know how good that was. But Top Chef are like professional chefs who know they need to make everything. So one of those kind of like unfortunate things.
I'm actually thinking of another Gordon Ramsay show. I don't know if either of you watched Next Level Chef.
Oh yeah, I saw one episode.
And really likes that, and so I was kind of set. We were all partnered up here, where your partner's watching something, so you'll sit down and watch a bit of it. And be like, okay,
that's how I watch, and just like that.
That's the only way you can.
Yeah, it's like by osmosis. Like I don't watch it, but I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so on Next Level Chef, the spoiler alert if you care and you haven't watched it yet, but the winner last season was Gabby, who was vegetarian, but she cooked like meat dishes all throughout the season, because she's like, well, if I'm gonna go on a cooking show, I'm gonna learn how to cook some fucking meat. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah, and the the undressed salad was Joe again coming in with the like, and how do you think? Or he was like, why is this undressed? Oh, well, I normally like my salads undressed. Well, how do you
this is where that's so kind of where I got lost, because early on I defended. I was like, oh, this could be an African thing and all that stuff. The undressed salad, I'm like, nah,
unforgivable.
The unforgivable. That wasn't happening in my household at all. I don't think it was happening in your household, to be honest.
No. Val brought up a point about how do we think that because we know that the food sits there for a while as it's being judged, do
Ooh.
you think it was a strategic thing to not dress it because you don't want your salad to melt?
Ooh.
Oh, I
Which,
didn't even think of
look,
that.
I appreciate Val giving credit, trying to give credit, but I'm like, no, absolutely. I think Fatima just didn't dress her salad and was like poker face about like, I don't like a dressed salad.
Sorry to jump in.
that's-
I did also say I would have prepped a dressing on the side.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
There was a solution
yeah,
even then. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's right. You
Yes.
add it later.
Fair enough. You know, clear. The
Yeah.
name is clear.
And the barbecue sauce was a bit thick.
It's thick. So, like, I think our own said it was like a paste.
It
And I'm
was
like,
a little
oof.
paste, like, yeah, it was reminding me of, kind of out the tube. Yeah, paint or whatever.
Yeah.
Toothpaste.
Okay, rounding out on the bottom for the millennials was Jeet with their beer battered fish, potatoes, and a beer tomato chutney. I could talk forever about this because I'm like, this is what we talk about where it's like MasterChef is a TV show first, cooking competition second, because the edit had like the pacing and drama of like bad, you did bad, but then like they just gave her compliments and she was still crying. They're like, why are you crying? And she's like in as nice a way as possible. She's like, because I'm on the bottom. They're like, well, it is a competition. I'm like, I feel like Top Chef would not be afraid to just say, hey, you're just here by default because one millennial had to be on top, one
Yeah.
had to be on bottom.
Yeah,
Don't
I think-
sweat it.
yeah,
But they were like,
that's-
hey, you should still be sweating, even though this is a really good dish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is a really good point where that is true. Like as we get deeper into the Top Chef show, they're like, hey, at this point it's a numbers game.
Yeah,
We have
exactly.
to find something wrong. And I think you're right. I think you can like lean into that and say that instead of being like, oh my God, I'm gonna still spice it up.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like an easier pill to swallow if it's like, if you're told this is a good dish, but today someone's going to go home for a good dish because someone has to go home. But like gaslighting her into thinking like you did a bad job. This fish is cooked excellently and everything is seasoned properly. Ugh, bad. I'm like, come on, you guys.
And it's not like they had 3 on the bottom, right? So it's not like it was to set up, we have to keep them
Right,
guessing a little
yeah.
bit. Like they could have, maybe said that and just were like, well, look, it's clearly between 2 people here.
Yeah. Which they did in private, but I'm like, but do that in public.
Right.
Do that
right.
for
Yeah.
Jeet. You know what I
Especially
mean?
'cause
She's crying.
Yeah, it was a tough moment.
Anyway, I would try her fish and chips. They look really good. Also on the bottom, we've got Gen X Daniela with her beer poached shrimp, beer chipotle sauce, beer infused rice. She called it camarones a la diabla. Her shrimp was undercooked, and this was another one where Joe was like, I think this is like how Joe justifies it in his head because he was like, "Oh, you're gonna poach shrimp and beer, okay?" And sure enough, she undercooked it, and I'm sure he went home that night like, "I'm right. No one should poach shrimp and beer." And I'm like, "No, she just undercooked it. It's not a bad idea, you know."
Right.
Yeah, I
and it
feel
did
like he
work.
heard like one chef be like, "Oh my gosh, people poach too much," and he's like, "Okay, that's gonna be my cooking thing."
Poaching is out
I
in
know.
2024.
Yeah. He's like, "I know how I'm gonna critique folk."
Yeah. He has to have some angle, and that's the angle, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's like when like a middle schooler like hears a new word and they just keep saying that word, you know, because they just learned it.
Vocab, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the loser at the end of this episode who's going home is Fatima, which I mean, obviously, no question.
Yeah.
The dish was really bad. So it seems like Michael's strategy worked because he took away Adam from her generation. I thought it would be fun. This occurred to me last week to do sort of like a where are they now to follow up as people are eliminated and see where they're at now. So I went to go look at what Fatima is doing. I looked at her Instagram. 100,000 followers.
Wow.
She had a
Oh,
cookbook
yeah.
come out earlier this year.
Whoa.
And as of
Ooh.
today, a couple hours ago, Kamei dropped a video making one of the recipes from her cookbook and like
collab.
uplifting her fellow contestant.
Hell yeah.
And also, let's not forget, she's still a doctor.
I know. And she's 26.
Yeah.
She's doing
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
She's doing great. I
Yeah,
don't feel
as-
bad for
as-
Fatima in the
as-
slightest.
As a matter of fact, one of the recaps I read said, just as a reminder, Fatima is a doctor. She'll be okay in life.
Just in case any of you were thinking of feeling bad
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, it's for the best. Let's give some of these other people a good time.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
people on the show like need it, and I'm like, give it to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not the doctor.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, I have a couple stray thoughts that belonged nowhere else. There were a couple beats in this episode of just boomers being old, like having senior moments. They showed Horacio in the pantry, like confused and spinning, like, what did I forget? And he's like holding his head like he has the Spider-Man headache.
Oh.
And then there was another bit where they showed Rebecca just going to the wrong station. And everyone's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, why did you include these edits in this show just to make the old people look bad?
They do a lot of, I mean,
Yeah.
like I kind of miss those, honestly. Like I maybe just didn't register, but I think like, you know, they do a lot of the jokes that, oh, they're slow or like da da da. And
Yeah.
and I know that's supposed to be like creating competition between, but as far as ageism goes, this show
It's
just
very
loves to lean
ageist.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other stray thoughts on the episode before we go on to score it?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay. So here's our points breakdown for the beer episode. Once again, you can find our scoring rules on our Instagram at TV Chef Fantasy League. The closer looks went to Mert, Kamei, Arthur, and Rebecca. That's a half point each. The winner was Rebecca. That's 1 whole point. Jeet gets the I'm such a big fan of Grant in this case, so it's a half point. Kimberly said, I don't usually cook with alcohol. I'm usually drinking it, and saying you don't usually cook with something. That's a half point. And Becca and Fatima also get that half point because they, you can qualify it as they're allergic, or you can qualify it as they don't cook with it a lot, but both of them do not consume alcohol. So it was a challenge for them. So that's our points for the beer episode, but we've got 2 episodes. So next up, we've got our Rock Quarry Team Challenge episode. I brought this up top. What do they never say? Okay, look, in other field challenges, they're like, we're cooking for 100 firefighters or whatever. And they never said who they were cooking for. They just kind of said, we're at this rock quarry. The same family's owned it for 60 years and we're cooking. And I was like, who is eating?
Well, they said something about like, oh, make these, you know, people have worked a hard day with rocks. So
yes,
they're
but then
gonna
there
want
was
a hearty
also
meal.
one table of like girls who, like, I'm guessing just worked in the front office. Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
I'm not
so they're
saying
not
women
in
can't
the-
work in a rock
Yeah,
quarry.
what?
I'm saying these girls were wearing like heels and like a leather jacket. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, they're not out there like plowing the fields
not the core uniform.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
I definitely got the sense of like it must be also just like a casting, you know, like we need 100 people tomorrow who's here, you know, like I said,
Where can we find 100 people in one central
background
location?
actors or whatever.
But yeah, it was a family-owned business. We never got the family's name. I don't know where this rock quarry is.
The quarries.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted them to be like 100 construction workers, or like 100 miners, but it was just like, nope, 100 people at a rock quarry.
So strange.
I wrote,
Yes.
they also told everyone at the quarry to wear plaid that day.
Oh, I
don't know if any of you noticed that.
I mean, that was in the casting description. You must have plaid shirt.
Yeah.
I did feel like I was waiting for it to be like a promo for a movie,
Exactly.
like if it was Dune 2 or Mad
No.
Max, you know, weird sandy movies.
Just the existence of rocks. It was just a friendly reminder that rocks are out there.
Which, hey, it's good to know. I think quarries, I don't think about it much. A lot of the rocks, you know, it's not just naturally tumbling down into into a tabletop.
Look, you want to landscape your yard and you're going to Home Depot and you're going to buy a bag of rocks. Someone's chipping away at those rocks, you know,
with their high heels
and their leather jackets. Gordon got his contractually obligated cool entrance, showing up in a big truck. I always like to think that it's you know, like they say, like The Rock and Vin Diesel like can't lose a fight or whatever. Like I like to think in his contract, he's like, if we're in the field, I got to come in like fucking parachuting or something, you know?
Right. They
got yeah, 100%.
I do think this was like genuinely a tough competition. It like from the get go, they're walking out there and they're just like wind whipping sand into their face, and I'm like, that doesn't. It clearly was a cold day because one girl was wearing a leather jacket. Like all the workers, they weren't like shirtless. They were wearing like long. So I'm like, it's probably cold. It's windy. There's sand everywhere. I'm like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At some point, Hallie had her shirt over her face, like
that's right. So it was
blowing into their nose and mouth and stuff.
Yeah. So it you know, I don't envy them for having to cook in that environment. They did have to walk very far to get to the kitchen. Val and I both clocked that. They're like, here's the challenge, head over to the kitchen. And then they did like a full fucking lap around a giant rock for some reason. Just thought that was weird. Okay, the blue team was Gen Z and the boomers, the youngest with the oldest. The red team was the millennials and Gen X. The captains, the blue team unanimously decides on Rebecca right away. The red team goes with Arthur. Okay, let's talk about Arthur versus Kamei. Just initial thoughts and reactions, because this is the big fight on the red team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like I get it. It's like difference of personalities, and I think difference of leadership. And I was kind of discussing this where it's like he has this marketing firm, right? Which he is a leader, but I wonder if just the style of leadership for this
Yeah.
particular task is so different. Like I feel like in
Yeah.
market or in what he was doing, maybe there's creative aspects. You're kind of like letting people kind of for future, like grow into their own or whatever. It's
Yeah.
maybe more
Yeah.
hands off, which is a great style of leadership. But in this particular thing, like Kamei might be better. She's a lawyer. She can kind of,
Yeah.
micromanage a lot better, which you do have to in this scenario.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I could see it's just like actually, your preference of how, somebody should run this. And in this scenario, maybe Arthur wasn't handling it super well.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah, I mean, on paper, I'd be like, yeah, if you run a business, like you probably would be able to
Totally.
do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I think he's used to running things in that businessy way where it's just like, if you have a decision, come to me and I'll make the decision. But I'm not here to like tell you how
Hold
to
your
cut your
hand.
vegetables
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, he also had that line where he was like, Kamei is like telling everyone to direct their small decisions to me. And I'm like, yeah, man, you're the team leader.
You do have to. Yeah.
It's kind of your whole thing.
Because they,
Yeah.
they just have to focus on like executing like the motion, and that takes a lot of space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe he had to realize like, oh yeah, you just be mean or whatever.
Yeah. That being said, I would also, it's like, I know that Kamei is right. And ultimately at the end of the day, I come down team Kamei. But Kamei was
Yeah.
doing that thing of, I don't know, I guess like everything being like, are you sure you want to do that? I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh,
and I'm
Yeah,
like,
micromanaging. Yeah.
that would be annoying if I were Arthur as
a
well.
little
So
undermining. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, also
No,
'cause-
I understand where he was coming from. But yeah, also, what were you doing, bro?
yeah.
yeah, I feel like in the last team challenge in the football club or whatever, the soccer team one.
You got it.
Yeah.
She knows sports.
Okay, good. I got it. But yeah, that like Rebecca was kind of that role for Anna. It was like Anna was captain. Rebecca kind of wanted to be captain.
Right.
Because Rebecca didn't get it. She was kind of a counter, like trying to maybe prove that her way was better while also having to operate under Anna. So,
yeah.
Familiar territory between the two.
So I think that same thing happened this week because I think during that episode, I brought up that Rebecca has a blog and she writes about the episodes as they come out. So I read Rebecca's blog today. And she said, of course, like you all my readers know, I wanted to be team captain. Apparently, Horacio also wanted to be team captain. And everyone on the team was like, no, we're going to go with Rebecca. So I think that a little bit of and we can talk about this next because this is the big conflict on the blue team was like Rebecca versus Horacio. I think that Horacio was a little bit, like pouty because he didn't get to be team captain.
That's where it stems from. Interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing.
The other thing I learned from her blog today was that her personal goal to herself was to have no proteins sent back to the kitchen. You know how like during a field challenge is always like, oh, we send this back.
Oh, interesting.
And apparently she achieved it. And they like Gordon said on set, like, hey, this is the first time this ever happened. Well, you had nothing sent back, and it didn't make the final edit. She was sad about that, but like she did it. So
yeah, then they really did deserve to win. Yeah.
Okay, I do want to talk about Horacio versus Rebecca. I got to know your guys' thoughts on this because I know you're big on Horacio, Iffy, and it's hard to pull for him in this instance. Tell me what you're thinking.
It's my guy. I think there's a lot of opinions being had. And we don't want to be too quick to jump to judgment. We don't know what would have happened if Horacio was on top running things. So I don't want to say who might be wrong or who might be right. I'm just going to say what happened happened.
Wow, really spoken like a politician.
That's too funny. I feel like we do kind of know what would happen because he was kind of taking too much charge.
Yeah.
And then Gordon had to kind of come and be like, here are the things that aren't working. And they were all like under his jurisdiction. And then she had to just be like, skins back on.
Right.
Or like,
look, he was just that was just geeks in his head trying to make this make the chicken healthy. That's why he's like, let's pull these skins off.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's trying to keep the geeks alive.
I guess. I don't know if that's the best strategy.
Yeah, I don't
geeks got eliminated for a reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We gotta leave them be.
So Horacio owned the chicken process, but then I think it was funny that the one decision that wasn't his, which is at first he was like, I think we should do a marinade. And Rebecca said, no, I don't want the sauce to burn on the grill. We're going to do a dry rub. And the one thing that came back was from Gordon and Aaron was like, why are you doing a dry rub? There should be a marinade. And that was Horacio's one thing where he's like, aha, I told you. And everyone's like, okay, go make your marinade. And then he made a bad marinade.
Oh, yeah. Salty marinade. Too
salty on the marinade.
But he got too excited because he finally had the chance to do what he wanted, and his hands were just a little too heavy.
Yeah. He didn't think so. I mean, it was funny that everyone else was like, this is too salty. And he's like, I don't know, I think it's fine. Okay. We do have to set the table a little bit here. One team had to make burgers, one team had to make chicken sandwiches. Rebecca got to pick, which was her advantage from winning last week. She picked the chicken because she was like, if we do the burger wrong, it'll be punted across the room. I can see Chef Ramsay tossing a burger across the quarry. And she was right.
Yeah.
I think that is the mark of someone who watches the show and just going like, look, I know that it's easy to undercook chicken, but a raw burger will get thrown on national television, and I'm not going to do that to myself.
Wait, why would a raw chicken not be?
That's a good question because it happened. It happened in this episode where they cut open chicken.
Yeah,
it was raw, and then he didn't throw it
because he'd already maybe thrown the burger. I guess for TV purposes, and again, maybe testament to her being a fan of the show. It's just a little more exciting because it kind of breaks off into multiple pieces.
Yeah. It's got better like flight distribution pattern.
Yeah. It's more theatrical.
Okay, so they do the halfway tasting. The blue team, the feedback was that the corn falls out of the sandwich and you pick it up. Valid feedback. Chicken almost dry. They suggested putting the corn in the macaroni salad. Aaron suggested changing up the slaw. Joe was like, I'm missing the skin. And ultimately, what they tell Rebecca is like, you're the team captain. Get in there and fix it. And then that is when, she starts telling Horacio what to do. Horacio complains the grill is too hot. And Gordon says, it's a grill, you donut. Beautiful, just perfect television.
Yeah.
Over on the red team, they say, okay, this is good. This is good, like steak setting. They say it's a good cook on the burger. Everyone loves it. And Gordon just says, look, that's one, but you have to cook 100. This is your competition to lose. And sure enough, they end up losing, which is a bummer because it's a bummer to turn out your first dish and everyone be like, no, it's pretty perfect. Just keep doing that. And then they couldn't keep doing that,
I mean, it is like, especially watching so much of this show and how they lay it out in like, first act, there's so many twists and turns and they don't want to set up who wins in the end. So it's like, it almost feels like a death sentence to do well in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, no matter what. Also, wait, okay, sorry, coming back to the hot grill.
Yeah.
Didn't they make a comment at some point where they were like, maybe you're just old?
Oh, I missed that.
Joe I think, I don't know if it was around the grill time or something, but I think Joe literally said, maybe you're, maybe, unless I'm making this up.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I fully believe you, and it fully makes me sad.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a second, like, this is just too on the nose now, and like, what are you guys doing? And it's a joke.
It's those grills, those like Joe. Big open face grills are genuinely very hot. And I'm like,
and they're out in the middle of the
like, I would not put my mom near that grill,
Oh gosh.
Your mom couldn't handle it.
No, she could not handle the heat. She should get out of the kitchen, She's in her 70s. She doesn't need to be around a fucking 1,000-degree grill. That's crazy. In the middle of a rock quarry, don't kick them while they're down.
God, the sand blowing around.
Anyways, oh no, go ahead. Sorry, there's the delay, so I can never tell if the is an entree into a full statement or not.
But that was a affirmative
Perfect, cool. Okay, so the red team gets into the weeds pretty quickly. The slaw station going incredibly slow. Michael's like, we're gonna get behind on burgers, so Arthur pulls Kimberly out of slaw and onto burgers. Sure enough, they run out of slaw. I wrote this quote because I thought it was so funny. Gordon said, "We haven't even started service and we're out of slaw. I don't know how that's possible." I don't know how that's possible either. I don't know how you run out of something before you've served any food to anyone.
Somebody's eating, snacking in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so okay. But at some point toward the end of the run, they run out of buns, slaw, and bacon. And I'm like, truly, what is that? It feels like they're playing what's like Overcooked. You know what I'm talking about?
God. Yeah, it's falling off the edge. It's falling
so
into the void.
If you've never played Overcooked, it's a Nintendo Switch game that is perfect. It's a perfect game.
It really makes you yell at each other a lot.
Yeah. I know that there are some people out there who like when they hear video games, they're like their brain turns off. They're like, I'm not a video game person. Go play Overcooked.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
There's not a
Yeah.
soul on earth who does not enjoy playing Overcooked.
It's like
That is so true.
Dine and Dash. If anybody ever.
No, what's
used to play
Dine and
that.
Dash?
It was.
No, yeah,
it's
that's
like,
a whole new one.
Oh, it's a new one.
Or well, I used to play it. I don't know on. I don't know a lot on the old version, maybe PC or something. I don't know.
You're talking about going to a restaurant, eating, and leaving without paying. That's life's video game, dining and dashing.
The original video game.
Yes.
There's also like a cooking PC game or something called Dine and Dash where you're like preparing things for people like Overcooked essentially, but it's just a single player.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, yeah, it was always very you really get into the mindset.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate working in a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the joy of Overcooked is it's not single player. You get to yell at your friends.
You get to yell at your friends and destroy friendships.
Okay, Kimberly in her little talking head said, "Please, Kamei, just take over." And I'm like, okay, I see which way the wind is blowing with the team here.
Then that says a lot because I think as much as I'm rooting for Arthur, I think it was like, okay, if the teammates are not being like, hey, you're being disruptive, we just got to listen to Arthur. It's like, I guess no direction is being given.
Yeah. It's one thing to have your opinion at home, but when you see them on the ground having their opinion, I'm like, okay.
Right. They know more than me.
Yeah. The burgers go raw. Gordon throws one at a backhoe, as Val pointed out. Val knows so much more about construction than I do. Her note said thrown at a backhoe, and I'm like, what is a backhoe? Couldn't identify one if my life depended on it.
That's one of the like construction cars.
Rock quarry vehicles.
Very cool.
Because it's not construction. Again, I don't know what to.
It
I don't know
seems
what
like
anything
one
is.
of those things that would be in like my nephew's little books.
That's I feel like an 8-year-old would be stoked on this episode.
Yeah, they're big backhoe fans.
Yeah, exactly. I'm honestly surprised they didn't save this challenge for MasterChef Junior because I feel like a lot of kids would be really excited about cooking for big trucks.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe this is one of the it fell through for some reason and they still had the reservation.
We got to use it for a different show.
Right.
Okay, so Michael loses a point for getting his protein thrown. Kamei steps in to help out on the grill, but then because she was doing bacon, Jeet takes over for bacon, and she doesn't eat a lot of bacon. That is a half a point because it's something she doesn't cook with a lot. She deep fries it. Have you ever deep fried bacon? I've never done. It's never occurred to me that. Yeah, I mean, in like a heart attack kind of way. I'm like, why would you take the least healthy preparation to the least healthy protein? Do you know what I mean?
Just putting oil in oil.
Yeah. So so she gets her floppy deep fried bacon, and because she doesn't cook with it a lot, she gets the half point there. One of the diners out in the quote unquote restaurant got a 2-top bun, like a top bun and a top bun on their burger. It's like the longer the episode went on, the more I'm like, this is becoming a cartoon of a restaurant.
Yeah, pretty funny. Well, that's like, remember there was like I think this is true unless this was a troll, but there was like a Pride promotion where they did 2 top buns and 2 bottom buns.
Oh, that's funny.
Something. Yeah. So it's like
with the right marketing spin, it's funny.
It definitely, I remember it. And this was definitely like not this year.
Do you remember the brand it was? Not that good of a marketing campaign.
Whopper. Yeah, I don't know. Burger King.
Burger King. Thank you, Val. It's Burger King.
I feel bad because like you said Whopper, and I feel like I should have known it was Burger King from that, but it still flew over my head.
Well, yeah, I couldn't even place Whopper, but yeah.
I feel let's take a detour here. Thoughts on Burger King? Because I want to root for an underdog, but
it is an underdog.
Somewhere I was traveling recently, I don't remember where. I was like, okay, so when I travel, I like doing at least one meal at McDonald's because McDonald's has a really interesting international menu. If they do like a Mick version of whatever the local thing is. And so there's some places where you go and it's like, oh, there's like a Mick rice. That's interesting. I'll try it. It's like it's an anthropological excursion, And there was, I think it was in Edinburgh, maybe London, where I was like, oh, the McDonald's menu doesn't have anything special on it. The Burger King menu does. There was like a halloumi burger with like a weird sauce on it. And I was like, oh, I'll try it. Let's root for Burger King here. And even then I was like, it sucks here too.
Oh, no. I like they have the crowns, right? I think
Yes,
they've
Burger
got
King
the
has the
crowns,
crowns. Yeah.
so I'm into that. Yeah.
Your favorite
No,
part of Burger King is something that you do not
You
eat.
can't eat it, but
yeah, I like the stacker. The stacker is a solid burger there. I like
What is the stacker?
their the stacker is their like bacon cheese burger, and it used to be
Okay.
called the stacker because you would order it in size of patties, so you can get
Oh,
anywhere
okay.
from 1 to 4. You can even go up as far as 5 if you wanted to.
Okay, now
That's
I
why,
know why you
but
know what it is, because it's just a
yeah,
protein package, little protein bomb.
yeah.
oh,
Yeah, but like now it just sits on the menu as the stacker. And I think sometimes when they do like the barbecue burgers, they're well, but I think outside of that, yeah, Burger King can be a hit or miss for me.
Yeah. I want to like them, but they're not cranking out the good products,
yeah. I'm not seeking it out as much. I think one time I got an Oreo shake, and it was not. It was like not. Okay, at Jack in the Box they have an Oreo shake that is kind of what you would. It's more like a cookies and cream situation.
Okay, yeah.
At Burger King, it was more like a just a kind of chocolate shake with like Oreo bits on top, like kind of
Oh.
like an Oreo cookie, like broken into 4 and like put on top. And I was like, oh damn,
Oh
I
no.
wanted the cookies and cream.
Yeah, that sounds like
situation.
someone made a chocolate shake and then
I was like,
looked
oops.
around and found an Oreo in their
Yeah.
lunchbox and
I was
crumbled
like,
it
hey,
on
this
top.
works. Yeah.
Gross.
Hmm.
All right, well, back to the show. Okay, last thing I'll say about the red team, because it's a little bit of a point of debate, is they ran out of lettuce. Daniela runs to get lettuce. She brings it up to the front for expediting. And Gordon says, have these been washed? And she says, I was told not to wash it, chef. And Gordon throws the lettuce. The question is, does this count as Gordon throwing your protein? I vote yes, because the spirit of it is Gordon throws something that you fucked up, regardless of whether or not it's a protein. So I'm going to vote yes.
Then yeah, I can see that.
Iffy, yeah.
Because it's throwing
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He throws it across the quarry, so that's -1 there.
I am
Yeah,
like
I think if it takes flight at all, that's a point.
Okay.
They didn't also clarify like who said not to wash the lettuce. I guess was it Arthur, but we didn't really
we
get a
put the
follow-up on
blame at
that.
Daniela for the sake of the point, because
Right,
she also
right.
ends up on the bottom for it.
Sure. But also like, what is she?
She said, I was told not to wash it.
It's like, and who told you?
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's that
or is she
person's fault.
covering her ass, right? Where
Yeah,
it was her? I don't know.
Yeah, but not who's to say. The editors of the show are the only people who know.
Passive tense.
Okay, over on the blue team, significantly less drama. There's pretty much one point of drama, which is that Horacio gets pulled off the chicken station. They throw in Mert and Haley instead. And they do a good job. That's really all it is. At one point, they turn in raw chicken. We talked about this, but he doesn't throw it. He just goes like, cook it better. And then they keep going. That's it. The only other thing I wrote for the blue team is that at one point, Rebecca said, are you fucking kidding me? And then covered her mouth and went, I'm sorry. And it's so charming to see someone who never curse. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Oh yeah.
She knows the FCC is looking at her.
Yeah. She doesn't want to get personally fined by the FCC.
Yeah.
Okay, so our stupid voting mechanism this episode is shoveling colored sand onto a little conveyor belt thing. I wanted to note this amazing smash cut where Gordon, at the end of service, says he's really disappointed in the red team, and they smash cut to Rowan talking to the blue team, going, "You guys should be really proud of yourselves." It's like, okay, we all know who's gonna win. Arthur throws Kamei under the bus. He says, "I don't think she was a good soldier for me," and Kamei is crying in her little talking head, and I felt bad. We're all Team Kamei here. Not that we're anti-Arthur, but it's like,
yeah, you feel for them.
Yeah.
I think, it wasn't a good pairing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So via explosion, we learned that the blue team wins. Rebecca earns an advantage in the next challenge. Horacio once again gets his ass saved by hanging on to Rebecca.
Look, Horacio, he's gonna show up eventually.
I can't wait I want him
Any
to.
minute now.
Yeah, we're waiting. Clock is ticking. All right, so that means that means the red team is down on the bottom. Specifically, Arthur, Daniela, and Jeet. And Arthur is the one who goes home, and he takes full responsibility. He's like, I'm the team leader. I get it. So here's the where are they now? I looked up what Arthur is doing today. He posted a story today.
Whoa.
That he is in Spain.
Where are they now?
He's cooking with his daughter. He was like, I'm taking a cooking class in Spain, and then it was him and his daughter like cooking in like these nice looking aprons. Also, let's not forget, he is an ad exec who lives in Malibu, with a hot wife. He's doing fine. He's doing fine. I don't feel bad for either of our eliminated people this week. They're all doing great.
Yeah. They're doing
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that he took responsibility. I also was like, why do people want to be captain?
Yeah, it's so
Because
high risk with very little reward.
I know it feels like you're
Yeah,
definitely going
truly.
home unless you win, which is a big if.
Yeah.
So I just am like, I mean, technically, I guess he's a natural leader. He feels like that's what he does in his work, so
Sure.
he wants to bring that to the show. Sure, but I'm like, he could have laid low
He could have laid
and
low.
made it through.
Could have been right in the middle,
So I was a little like, well, you did kind of bring this on yourself by wanting it so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm he's my guy. He was on my team. I lost another.
You lost another. You're down one. That doesn't stop you from earning points, though. Let's get into our points here.
Yeah. Let's hear it before I even begin to try and feel bad for you.
So there are no closer looks on this episode because it was a team challenge, but our team captains are Rebecca and Arthur. That is 1 point apiece. The winner is the entirety of the blue team. So all the following people get 1 point. That's Adam, Mert, Becca, Haley, Rebecca, Warren, and Horacio. Haley doesn't really matter because none of us drafted her. Michael gets his burger thrown. That's -1 point. Daniela gets her lettuce thrown. That's -1 point. Jeet doesn't eat a lot of bacon. That is a half point for her. So at the end of that episode, or at the end of this week, at the end of both episodes, here's what our point gainage looks like. Iffy, you gain 2.5 points. Pretty good. Not bad.
Ooh,
Respectable.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sierra, you gain 3 points. Pretty good. Respectable.
Okay.
Somehow I gained 6 points.
Whoa.
Ow, what is happening? I get close to you and then you get sick.
This week
He
it
knows
was
you're on
it was
your
having Rebecca. Rebecca was the heavy lifter
Oh,
for me. I
yeah.
think she gained me, let me look it up, 3.5 points this week.
Right.
Damn,
Captain,
yeah.
winner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's all Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for being on my team. That's 6 points for me. So at the end of, or just currently, right now, our leaderboard as it stands, Iffy, you're at 6 points. Okay. I mean, that's the amount of points I gained this week single-handedly, but okay, 6 points.
Wow.
I'm still in second place with 10.5 points. Sierra, you're still in lead with 16 points.
Okay.
I am closing the gap.
Yeah, and you did earn 6 points.
Yeah.
So that's the gap.
Yeah, so I'm gaining on you, but you are still heartily in the lead.
This is true. It was a lot from that one last, in the field episode from getting so many, I think, on the winning team, but also, I lost a lot of good ones.
You lost a lot of good ones.
Lost a lot of good ones.
Yeah. What is your team right now? You
I
still have
think-
Michael.
Yeah.
You have Warren, who's not gaining you any points. And you have Becca. I think Becca is your ace in the hole.
Yeah, Becca. Yeah, and Michael had a good showing. Yeah, but yeah, I no more Arthur, no more Anna. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
You still have Kamei. I think Kamei is going to be your big point winner here.
Ooh,
I mean, after seeing you get like 6 points, I kind of have faith that like I can have a week where I pop off, and I do think it is going to
Kamei
come
week.
from Kamei.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
agree.
holding true.
I have faith that Kamei will be through to the finale, and you're going to get big points there.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Kamei, next week, looking forward, we have a tag team challenge, which is one of my favorite challenges on any competition show.
Oh, the preview looked hilarious.
Yes, it looks hilarious because Kamei loses her shit. I don't know if you saw it, Iffy, but Kamei loses her mind next week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because I guess
did
it's
not see that.
I don't.
preview.
I haven't. Oh yeah. I haven't seen the chat. I haven't seen this before on MasterChef, but it's just the waiting for somebody to finish so that you can get
Yes.
started. Like that will bring out your most
Yeah.
intense, micromanaging and or like aggressive, angry emotions. So
I would argue this is the closest that MasterChef comes to Restaurant Wars because
fun.
it is
Okay,
like
high
everyone
octane.
knows it's coming. Everyone dreads it.
Yeah.
It's like
Mm.
the highest drama episode of the season.
It looked like Mert was gonna be murdered.
Really sandbagging her. Yeah. I truly cannot wait.
Yeah. Exciting.
All right, folks, if you like our show, head to MaximumFun.org/join. That is where you can support us directly. Really helps us out. You can also rate and review our podcast on whatever app you're using to listen to us right now. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, you can drop us a line on Instagram at TV Chef Fantasy League or send us an email at chef@MaximumFun.org. If you're doing your own MasterChef Fantasy League, please tag us, much like our good friend April. We love seeing your leagues. For full unedited episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. Thanks again to my co-hosts here, Kato and Iffy Wadiwe. We will be back next week. TV Chef Fantasy League is a Maximum Fun production. Our producer is Valerie Moffat. Our theme song is by Dylan Van Auken. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at TV Chef Fantasy League.